And welcome back to Zanpakuto Creation Series. Today's Zanpakuto Creation Series suggestion comes to us from Hagega. Oh god, I always screw this name up. Hagone no Sen. Let's question, what is the Zanpakuto of Kurapika from Hunter x Hunter? A series which I have like 6 volumes of it because people have kind of been interested in me doing what ifs based on it. It's not finished as a series, so even if I were to do what ifs, it would not be for some godforsaken time because the series is just not complete yet. There's a reason I didn't start doing My Hero what ifs until recently. But also reading it, I can tell I'm enjoying it fine. I like Black Clover, frankly, more than between the two series that I've been picking up. I think I like Black Clover more. It fits more my style. And maybe it's the art style too, because the art style is a big thing as well. Either way, and that's one of the reasons I never really got into One Piece that much, even though I know a decent amount about One Piece. Regardless, Kurapika is a character in One Piece in Hunter x Hunter. They're described as having a cool, intelligent personality, but due to a trait inherent to his family, he has something that gives him crimson eyes that increases his physical strength, but at the cost of possibly his physical health. Because of the way Nen works, Nen users can have so many different types of abilities. His manifests in literally conjuring a little silver ball with chain called a dowsing chain. And he can use it, and he uses it in combat. So I think because of the way Nen works, this is one of those times we can actually kind of try to morph an ability into a Zanpakuto. So first and foremost, his Zanpakuto type is Keto, once again. Well, melee Keto-esque, I should say. Unlike many others, this is the time where I'm giving him giving the character a different type of sword for their sealed Zanpakuto. Generally speaking, and most of these characters get a katana because that's usually the form it takes. He, however, would get a tanto, a Japanese dagger, basically. Its release is Run from Bondage, or what did I write here? Run from Bondage? Yeah, I think it's Run from Bondage. Its name, I decided to go with the name Dowsing Chain because that sounds like a good Zanpakuto name, honestly. Which translates, roughly speaking, into Daojingu Kusari. Kusari, Chain Blade, Sickle Blade, all that. Its Bankai, though, is Divine Chain of Judgment. Kami no Sabaki no Rensa. And again, Google Translate, so that might not be the exact name. Its spirit takes the form of a beautiful maiden, a beautiful angel-esque individual, maybe not with wings, but angelic nonetheless, with silver chains wrapped around her arm. But in Bankai, this angel goes a bit more, not feral isn't the right word, a bit more aggressive, and her eyes glow red with fury and judgment. So now they're on this, what does this Shikai of the Zanpakuto, what does it do? I think this Shikai does manifest into the Dowsing Chain. I do think, though, it's a bigger version of it. Not quite as big as something like Morachio's Gegetsu Buri, which is a giant flail, ball chain flail, mace kind of thing like that. But mace, that was the term I was looking for. I do think it's big enough to be basically something you would use like with a Kusagari, something like a thick enough chain with a sizable, like maybe baseball-sized metal ball at the end. Now, while it's certainly a unique weapon, and I've done chain-based Zanpakuto ones before, that's spoilers, that's what Sasuke's kind of is, just different. I do think, though, that this Zanpakuto has a very specific ability, because one of the abilities is to just bind people up and keep them binded, among other things as well. Like that's what this chain, it's among, I think it's called like chain prison or something like that. Chain jail, that's what it's called, chain jail. And I can't remember exactly what it does, but it does bind people with the chain. I think what this chain does, this chain's ultimate purpose is to punish and contain evil, at least, or, those who do wicked, at least according to him. And when it wraps around or touches something, it robs Reishi, from the target it touches. Now, this could be used for, just robbing an opponent's energy, robbing energy from their Zanpakuto, or even just taking Reishi from the environment if they really try and bang hard. That being said, however, the chain is what really takes the Ryatsu. The ball then redistributes the Ryatsu that it takes into a giant kind of like ball shockwave. Like, the minute it hits something, it goes bong, and just giant thing of reishi just pops out of the ball. Obviously, the more energy it takes, the bigger the blast. Now, the Bankai of this actually mirrors another existing Bankai, and I believe it's Fujiko. Hold on one second. I got this image and I didn't even bother looking up the name so I could reference it correctly. Let's see here. Shuhei Hisage's Bankai's name is. I always blank on the name here. Bankai. It is Fushi. It's not Kazeshimi Fushi no Kojo for the person who wrote this down. It is really just Fushi no Kojo. Kojo. Sorry, not Kojo, but Kojo. It's Kojyo. And this is very different than Hisage's, but this is the general gist is chains are involved. The chain disappears. Like, you literally toss it, similar to maybe like a Zenbon or Kageyoshi scenario, and instead of a giant dome, which is right behind Hisage, like a giant cage of chains just appears. And it all stems from like the center, which just seems to be more chains, like just this infinite chain hanging from the bottom. Now, granted, it's a big cage, but in essence, what it does is something similar to the Shikai in terms of the absorption of Ryatsu, but the difference is here now that you can, similar again to Zenbon Zakura Kageyoshi, you can control the chains if you must with your hands. If you're knocked into the chain to grab at an opponent, whatnot, you can also have the chains honestly just rattle against themselves and start creating shockwaves, smaller noises, things to disorient the opponent. But again, the main ability of the chains remains the same, is to absorb, contain, and bind. Now, and the ultimate technique most likely would be, as they're doing this, a big ball. There'd be the balls hanging on the bottom of the chain, certainly. But I think a big ball ultimately forms that keeps forming no matter what. And you ultimately can just release everything in one giant AoE blast. Now, there would be problems with the Zanpakuto, certainly. Anyone who's just a skilled swordsman could easily overcome the chain, slice the chain in half. The chain's not invulnerable or invincible or anything like that. Absorption abilities are good, but there's only so much, you can absorb. The Shikai would be worthless against a very large effect type ability like a Ryujin Jaka, a Hyorin Maru, a Zenbon Zakura. It wouldn't really be useful against that. The Bankai would be a little bit more useful, certainly, because there's just a lot more chains. It can absorb a lot more energy a lot quicker, but it still runs into the problem of dealing with someone, for example, who has too much Ryatsu for it to handle, i.e. like a Kenpachi, an Aizen, an Ichigo, a Yamamoto, those kind of individuals. It doesn't really have much of a straight up kill move. Similar to Hisage's Bankai, which is not a lethal Zanpakuto in the sense that it's got a killing technique. As far as we know, it might have something. Hisage only just unlocked it and can't fear your own world. But it's not a Zanpakuto that's used for killing per se, although it certainly can do it. It's got a technique to do it, unlike Hisage's. It's a Zanpakuto designed to punish, contain, and keep those that the user would deem wicked under control. So it's not really, well, it's certainly a practical weapon in many senses. It's not a perfect weapon by any stretch of the means, because it also has a weakness in Shikai where if the chain's not wrapping around something or absorbing something, the ball is little more than a very heavy ball that could hurt someone. Like like I said, in the Shikai, it's the chain part that has to absorb Ryatsu, whereas the ball is just the release point for the extra energy you absorbed. And if you start just smacking it around, like whipping it around on the ground, yeah, you're gonna carve out the ground a little bit, maybe divot it, all that, but you're not going to be able to release any extra energy because you're not absorbing any energy. The same principle would apply to the Bankai as well, where it's the ball part that releases the energy, the chains absorb the energy. Now, granted, with all those chains and being able to manipulate the chains, you certainly can absorb more energy a lot quicker and easier, but it's still not a one-to-one guarantee. Either way, though, that is my thoughts here on Kurapika's Zanpakuto. I think it's a fitting Zanpakuto. This one is the characters you can definitely apply something to. The So you can apply something about them from their series to create the Zanpakuto. So I like what I did with that. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.